Alright, this is round two. I'm going to try and get through this message without going into overly detailed past stories from my teenage years. But I experienced this thing today, and I'm trying to wrap my head around it because I'm an ex-people pleaser, right? I think a lot of us are. And whenever a mutual crosses my screen, I always give them a comment. I try and watch the whole video. If it's pretty reasonable lengthwise, then I'll watch the entire thing. Even if I fast forward or something, you know how it is. If it's like a 10-minuter, sometimes I don't make it, but I always comment. And it's usually like purple hearts or red hearts, always in 3s or 4s, because sometimes you can't do the same comment a certain number of times. And if you have a lot of mutuals, like I do, then you run out of those emojis pretty quickly. So today, somebody only got 2 hearts instead of 3, and I have no idea who it was. I scrolled, I closed the app, I did a bunch of things, and then I was like, wait, that was only 2 hearts. And I'm sure there's a way I can look it up now, but I was for a little bit thinking about that, and I was like, well, what if they're one of those people that has been mutuals with me for over a year or so, could be 2, if they've been here since the beginning, and they've always gotten 3 hearts whenever I see a video. And then today it's 2 hearts. And I just went back to this childhood version of myself, childhood, teenage, young adult, whatever, who would read into everything like that. Yeah, but what do those hearts really mean? Why do I only have 2 now? Does he like me less? Did I do something? And do you see a video that made him feel differently about me somehow? These kind of thoughts. And if you were the person that only got 2 hearts, it was just a click situation, you deserve that extra heart. I'm so sorry you didn't get it. But it did not reflect anything about you. But I'm not even getting that's the situation here. I'm getting that this happened in order to bring up something that I have to deal with. Because in round 1, I dove into a trauma story from my teenage years. 20%. Without saying too much, essentially, a person in my life that was responsible for me received a text message from me, and I meant to type agreed, and I actually sent greed. It was just some freak typo where the A disappeared and it turned into GREED. And that person, who shall remain nameless, stewed on that thought all day, as far as I know. I'm not sure if there was other contributing factors. There could be. But the story is that they didn't eat a lot that day, or didn't eat at all. And then they drank a reasonable amount, but on an empty stomach, it can affect you. And I don't know if that's true or not. They could have been drinking a lot. I have no way of knowing. But when I got into the car, all I knew was somebody tossing a bottle into the back seat. And it was an empty bottle, and I didn't really think twice about it. Until, they were swerving all over the road and bumping into things. And I realized I was in danger. There's that moment of oh shit, what do I do? And when you're a passenger for a drunk driver and shit's getting dangerous quickly, and they're raging, because that's what was happening. They were raging at me over this text message. Just not even looking at the road, just violent hand gestures and screaming. And And I did the only thing I could think to do, which was to stealthily call my sister, the one I'm living with, and be like, hey, this is what's happening. And I couldn't talk to her, because if the person knew that I was calling somebody, it would have been a whole other thing. So I just left it on the seat next to me and let my sister hear the conversation. I reinforced where we were going, or maybe she knew, I don't remember. And she ended up following us and catching up to us. So eventually, my sister ended up following us, catching up, and the moment that we parked, she wrestled the keys out of the hands of the person that was driving. And it got a little physical. There was definitely a fit that was thrown. It was one of the many experiences that made me so scared of driving. And I drove for a couple of years after that. But like I said, it was one of many. And it was all started because of a typo. Because the wrong person got a typo in a text message and thought about it all day, and what I could have meant by that, what I could have been judging them for. And I was already very sensitive to the thoughts of others. I was already the kind of person that notices shifts in the energy. I can tell when your body language changes. I can tell most of the time what somebody's thinking when I can see their genuine reaction, even if it's subtle. Those little uncontrolled responses, the shifts in the energy, they speak volumes. And I go out of my way to make that easier for people. I say what I mean clearly and plainly. But that doesn't make a difference to somebody that overthinks like that, because they assume that nobody says what they actually mean. And if I know that somebody has insecurities that will haunt them for the next 3 days, then even in mild interactions, I will try and compensate for that. I will go out of my way to try and stop somebody else's head from spinning. Because I wish somebody had done that for me. I wish that other person had learned to manage that. And I don't do that anymore. I think that's something we have to acknowledge now, that we don't overthink like that anymore. We may consider all the possibilities, but we do not turn in on ourselves and just spin on this hamster wheel of destruction because of the way somebody looked at us, or the way somebody said something, or if they were vague what they meant by what they said. That's not us. And if it's something you're struggling with, keep trying to develop that thickness of skin, that don't give a fuck kind of attitude when it comes to how other people perceive you. What's important is how you perceive you. And if they don't understand you, or if they choose to misunderstand you, that's on them, not you. I think that's the message. And I hope I didn't put too many intimate details out there. That's not even the entire account of the story, but I didn't say names, so hopefully that's okay. I love you guys. You deserve that extra heart.